So you need to have some kitchen foil, just some regular kitchen foil. This is about 30 centimetres wide. You'll need an old book, some scissors, some regular sewing thread, some florist tape, some decorative ribbon, and you'll also need to have some wallpaper paste. The link to mix this up is in the video description. In addition, you'll need either a wooden stem like this is just a kebab stick, or something like an old paintbrush or a garden stick. We need these so that we can curl the petals. So this gift posy doesn't have any leaves, but if you want to add some, I will be adding a tutorial showing just how to make the leaves at some point. So I really recommend that you use a hardback book to make this rose. Mostly because the paper is usually quite a lot thicker, and the thicker paper holds the curls much better. I will show you a comparison later, but this is one I've made using a paperback book, and even though it has got some curls on it, they're not as well defined, and this one is even less so. So if you have seen any of my other videos, do feel free to skip the common parts. Now the common parts of this, well, the cutting of the petals is standard and the making of the stems is standard. So if you've not made one of my English roses before, you might want to skip over to the assembling of the rose. Yeah, have a look, skip through the chapters, it's fine. So to start with, we will take 4 pages from our book and we'll tear them all together. Easier said than done in some books. You might prefer to use craft knife, but we'll get there. So we want to tear 1, 2, 3, 4. We want to tear 3 lots of 4 book pages. Basically we tear 4 pages per rose. I'm not worried if there's pictures on this one. That's fine today. So what we need to do to start with is to fold the book pages in half. So you will also need to have the petal template. This is petal template number 1, and if you're downloading the printable. If you haven't got a printer, you can just draw this yourself. So the video link, the video tutorial for doing that is in the video description. So you take your petal template and line it up with the edge of the text and simply cut around it. I do like to leave a little bit of a gap at the bottom of the petal shape. It's not essential, but if you do, then you'll have a really nice open rose. So for each rose, we want to cut 3 times. Each cut will give us 8 petals. And if you're really lucky, you might get an extra cut out. I don't want the header, that's not quite enough. So continue cutting all of your petals. And to make the stems, what we need to do, I don't know if I've got enough kitchen foil here, is we want to tear off about 20 centimetres of kitchen foil. Doesn't have to be really precise, if you can hear me. And we simply fold the kitchen foil 3 times, scrunch it at one end, and then just twist it around to make a stem. And we want 3 of these. Now I need to stop here now, but by the power of video, I'll start again tomorrow. I'm just saying that in case I have a change of clothes and people wonder why. I have to pace myself. Right, so yes, 3 stems, petals cut, and next we need to assemble the flowers. So first of all, we need to make one of our English roses, and we need 3 of these to make this rose, but I'm only going to show you how to make one today. So this paper is really quite thick, so we won't need the usual amount. I'm going to do 2 rows of 7 with maybe 3 spare. So the first thing is we need to curl the petals. So what I normally do, so I don't get in a pickle, is I pick up the first petal from the top row on the left hand side, and I just fold the top of the petal and I roll it around the wooden stem about halfway down the petal on the left hand side, and just however it is on the right, because we're folding it diagonally. So hold the wooden stick to the left hand side, curl down about halfway down the petal, and we want to do this for every other petal on the top row. And then on the middle row, I'll start with the second petal, and again just roll from the left down. I find if you hold the petal in place, pull out the stick and then release, it really does hold that curl in place. And actually I'm going to bring this one down. And for the bottom row, we just want to curl the first and the third petal, and you'll understand why I brought this one down in a moment. But for the rest of the petals that we haven't curled, we want to curl them in the same way, but from the right hand side. If you're using a thinner paper, you will probably need a few more petals, but this is very thick and definitely don't need more than this. So the reason I brought down one from the row above, so I've got 4 on the bottom row, is because I want to turn all these over so that the bottom row has the curl facing upwards and the other rows have the curl facing downwards. And then what we want to do is pop a little bit of wallpaper paste on each of the petals. Take one of our spares and prepare the centre of the rose, and we do this by curling it in to make a point at the top and an opening at the bottom. so that we have a little cone shape. And then pop some glue inside, and then take your foil stem, pop it in, give it a little twist, and simply secure it in place with a few twists of your thread. You don't need to tie the thread on if you are binding it over the top of the loose thread. Take the first petal from the bottom row and line it up so that the tip of the rose, the middle petal on the rose, just lines up nicely with the top of the rose we're placing on. Twist it around at the bottom, bind with the thread, and for the next petal we want to place it directly opposite. And for the third petal we want to place it so the middle of the new petal aligns with the very edge of the previous petal. And the same with the next one. So the first 4 petals that we're putting on the rose all have the curls going inwards, and the next ones will all have the curls going outwards, but we still place them in exactly the same way. The middle of the new petal aligns with the very edge of the previous petal. And keep adding all of the petals in this way. If you've made some of my other roses, you'll already know that this already is feeling a lot fuller as a rose, because the curls give the rose a bit more body. Need one more. So add the last petal in the usual way, but twist it a few extra times. Bring it down the stem a little bit. Don't lose your scissors. Snip off the thread, add a little bit of glue around the bunchy bit under the rose, and you'll see that that is a really lovely full rose. So once all of your roses are dry, oh, let me show you this first. So I've already made my other 3 roses, absolutely lovely. And this is using a hardback book, obviously, and this is using a paperback book. And whilst it's okay, I just think that the petals really hold the curls better on the thicker paper. And this is the other one, they just didn't hold at all. So we want to trim our stems, and I will trim them to about 18 centimetres. Of course you can have them longer if you prefer, but this is what I do as standard. And then we want to bind them in some florist tape. And to do that, we simply hold the florist tape up under the bunchy bit and twist it around and keep turning. Once we get to the bottom, you want to make sure that silver foil is completely covered, and then just fold over the florist tape and twist it back on itself. Wind back up about 2 or 3 centimeters. Add a little bit of PVA glue. And do the same for the other 2 roses. Then take all of your 3 roses and align the stems at the bottom, and then just join them together with a little bit of florist tape. And a little bit of PVA glue. And then we can bind them with a little bit of ribbon. Now I normally start the binding at about 3 centimeters, and you simply just need to wind the ribbon up the stems until they reach where the roses start spreading out. I need my different scissors, I'm not sure this will cut. Oh, yeah, okay. So you can temporarily hold that in place with either a clothes peg or a pin. I like to use a pin because it's just simpler. Oh, she says. And then take another length of ribbon tie a knot over the loose end, put it nice and tight, and I'll do a double knot, and then I can pull out my needle and that will hold everything in place, and then you can simply tie the rest in a bow. And that is the English Rose gift posy, and I wasn't going to put leaves on here, but you know what, I think I will. I've got lots and lots of spare leaves here, and so I think I'm just going to use some of these up. And once you've cut out your template leaf, if you choose, you can put some little notches in them, and you simply do this by putting a couple of little snips down the side. Normally 3 or 4 will be perfect, and then using either your PVA glue or your high-tack glue, simply attach them to your roses. I'm going to put one on this leaf, one on this rose, and I think I'll put one on this rose. There, just a little bit more interest. So that is the English Rose gift posy. If you do have a go making it, do show me your pictures on Instagram. You can leave me a comment below if you've got any questions whatsoever.